We got agendas coming. Bill, do me a favor, read me the item 1 on the agenda.
Item 1. Agenda, hold on. I have it.
Additions or deletions?
Pull it up again.
Additions or deletions?
There you go.
Okay, any additions, deletions to the agenda?
Hard to tell.
So far, blocked.
Come on, Laura, you go the most peculiar. Oh, thank you.
I'm happy to have a very brief meeting.
Okay, so here, listen up, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Members of the public, review and approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2019 meeting. Old business, update on Transportation Committee, ongoing carry, I know. Review of annual meeting along with the third auditor's position. Update on Wardsboro focus work, where do we go next? List of future work the board will want to tackle over the next year so that a calendar can be created. We do have an executive session on an update on contractual. I don't know if there's anything else. And our reorganizational meeting will be March 11th, 2019 in Wardsboro. And then we have a March 18th, 2019 meeting at Dover School. And an April 1st, 2019 meeting. And I got April's Fools, really. And then April 15th, 2019 would be a meeting date. And then we have adjournment.
We have a superintendent's, anything on the superintendent or new business? Because I have a question.
I just
for the
have, I
superintendent.
have new business and I have nothing there.
Okay, I have something under new business.
Okay, so Laura does have something under new business. Okay, so hearing if we're okay to move forward, members of the public, Mark,
In regards to the,
auditor.
yes, that's.
Okay,
the only-
let's cover that down below.
so I figured.
Andy, you got anything other than the discussion on the
No,
Okay.
not other than,
pre-town meeting
Right.
kind of stuff? Okay. Review and approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2019 meeting. If you all should have gotten those long time ago from Peter, the minute taker extraordinaire. So I would entertain a motion if anybody would be so moved to do that.
I was not there, so.
You were not there, it doesn't matter, you can still make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dwight beat you to it. Is there a second to the motion to approve the February 4th meeting
I'll second the
minutes?
motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay, Laura, Carrie, who sits next to Laura, will second it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Extension.
Laura abstains because she wasn't there.
There.
Okay,
There were minutes from the annual meeting. Did you see? I saw those on the website.
oh, I didn't get them. Can you make sure those go out, Bill?
But it wasn't. I don't
But
know
we
if it's
don't, we don't
draft.
actually approve those
You'll
minutes.
approve them in a year.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But
I'll have to remember.
I was hoping to have
Well,
them
I
just
saw,
to
I
kind of
saw, I
review.
saw an error. I was just flipping through the website. I saw a mistake on it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I know the answer to number 1, update on Transportation Committee work. Carrie, you are gonna compose a letter for us.
I will. And
Okay.
I have an ability to do that. It's
No,
on the
that's
list.
fine. So I had review of annual meeting along with the third auditor's position. So let's break that down into, let's review the annual meeting first. So we don't have the minutes, but usually after an annual meeting, I like to just say, how did everybody think it went? And Mark wasn't there, so he can't answer. He can't.
Watch the video.
You watched the video? How was it?
Very nice.
I thought it went well.
We were blinded by the light.
Yeah, we were.
I think it was a song.
Yeah, we were in the spot.
Did it come out good? So anyways, review the annual meeting. I mean, everything we asked for was approved. The Burton rate went through, all the reports were accepted. They agreed to move 200,000 from reserves into the budget. Yep, go ahead.
Speaking of the minutes, I did read the minutes and I think it's at
500,000. That was, I caught
Yeah.
that today.
Okay, but not on the video, I hope.
No, not in the video. In the
So it was
printed
just,
minutes.
it was a typo.
Typo, yeah.
Okay, so Bill, can you make a note of that, just?
What was that, Mark?
And in the minutes that were posted for the annual meeting,
Yeah.
it said it was 500,000 that could be moved from the reserve to meet the tax rate.
The minute
versus
said
200.
500,000, not the 200,000?
Exactly, yeah.
Was it supposed to be 200,000?
Yes.
Yes,
Was that listed in the article, or is that something?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
don't-
that was listed in the article.
The article.
So, other than, let's hold off on the auditors, is there anything else anybody thinks is worthy of discussion today or review from the River Valley's annual meeting? Everybody good with it? Andy is our clerk. Any comments?
No. Went well. Should have all our meetings during snowstorms.
There was still a pretty good turnout.
It was. It was a good turnout from Wardsboro. I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, even Dover had a pretty decent turnout.
Yeah, yeah, for coming over the hill for sure. During the snowstorm, yeah.
Okay, so the next thing is during the annual meeting, we asked for 3 auditors and we had 2 volunteers from the audience, or we had 1 volunteer from the audience, Randy Capitani from Dover, and we had a second person who had previously stated he would be an auditor, Bob. Bob's last name is, I'm drawing a blank, but
McIntyre.
Bob McIntyre. So we asked for a third one. So we do have a person from Dover who volunteered to be the third auditor. He's sitting in the office and he's sitting in the audience in a blue sweatshirt, and he'll wave at you if you ask him to. We had also asked kind of for Wardsboro to see, because we had 2 from Dover, and just was there somebody from Wardsboro? Have you heard of anybody since?
I have not.
Okay. What is the board's feeling? Do we want to, Mark did step forward and volunteer. We don't have anybody as an auditor from Wardsboro. Maybe there's nobody that wants to do it. Or do we want to just wait to appoint the position after town meeting and just see if there is anybody from Wardsboro? One of the things I've always been a little fearful of is we always wanted to make sure it was that we came together and it was a combination. It wasn't a takeover, and I just hate to be Dover heavy, but if nobody wants to do it too, I hate to look somebody who says, yeah, I'm willing to do it. I come to all the meetings, I know what's going on, and say no to them too. So I will just throw that out there. If somebody would like to make a motion, we can just make a motion to move forward, or it's all up to you folks.
Are you willing to wait until after town meeting to take the position? Because then if we can find somebody, that way we can.
It's a board decision. We have a person who came forward, we can. Mark, I don't want to, I feel a little bad that you step forward and now we're saying we don't want you. Do you understand?
I do understand.
I think as a board, I'd be more than happy to have Mark do it, but I think if someone does step forward from Wardsboro, it might be, but other than that,
Yeah.
we're not soliciting the job. It's yours if.
Yeah, I'm not saying Mark is.
No, I totally agree with you. I just,
Right.
it would be nice.
It would be nice, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Carrie, you okay with that?
I agree, as long as we're not offending Mark.
No,
Because
I
we really do appreciate you.
understand the reason behind it.
And you've done a lot for us, and we really do appreciate it. And we don't want, we hope you understand, so that was,
I'm not going to take it.
okay.
I do understand.
So what we'll do is we'll see if you guys in Wardsboro can find somebody, and then at the next meeting, we'll make the appointment at the meeting. We'll make the appointment at that March 11th meeting, River Valley's meeting. Okay? Bill, the Wardsboro focus, where do we go next?
So last time, before the town meeting, annual meeting, we shared a document with you guys about a timeline over the next 3 months, where we are going to continue the exploration of STEM for the Wardsboro focus. And what will be happening over the after town meeting, March through May, is Tammy Bates, the principal of Wardsboro, has already done a pre-interview conference call with the national accreditation in the United States. There's only one organization that actually does it. So Tammy did a pre-interview about 90 minutes with them, and they would like to arrange or she would like to arrange for a follow-up with myself, our Director of Curriculum, and any board members that would like to listen. So we're gonna, after town meeting, once that happens, we will arrange for that to happen, as many board members as you want. So if we have more than a quorum, we'll warn it. And it'll just be our continued investigation to see if that is a path that the board would like to continue down. And then we'd like to match that with, we found 3 places in New England that do elementary school, STEM, STEAM, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York. Very common in middle school and high school, more unique in elementary school. So both of those paths are continuing in order to allow the board to make a decision before the summer if this is the full-on path that you want to continue moving forward with. So that's kind of where we are right now. Tammy did share all the documents from the National, I want to say National Institute of Science Education, of which provides a pathway to accreditation. She was very interested in having a disciplined process similar to the International Baccalaureate that could be followed, could be followed up on, could have rubrics, could have timelines, could have expectations, not only for the individual teachers, but for the school. She did a lot of really high quality research, and we'll be curious to see how the board feels about what she has found. I reviewed all the documents, and I was very impressed and pleased that it could be something that could allow us to go down this path.
So, kind of since the next topic is future work for the board.
Yes.
So, you want to tell us what you think the board needs to do?
I think the board needs to participate, a minimum of 2 of you need to participate in a conference call. And then I would like to know how many would be willing to take a field trip in April and May to physically go see some schools. They are a distance.
Yeah. So I'm interested in both of those things. I mean, the schedule will be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, we would plan to go on multiple. Tammy's really taking the lead on this, which is what we want. But those are the 2 major things that I would want on your work plan, is that in March you participate, a minimum of 2 of you participate in conference call, and in April and May we have board participation in field trips so that you guys can have a discussion in June. The timeline you gave us was to kind of continue the exploration, hear back from the public, so that you guys could at least have a robust discussion in June going into the summer. So we could plan for professional development, things of that nature.
So you have 2 field trips you're thinking?
We have 2. One is 2.5 hours, one is 2 hours, 45 minutes away. Those
So
are
I
the-
probably will not be able to do field trip unless it's likely.
And then in May, you would do the presentation and we would make a decision?
We could, if we could get both of the visits in April, yes. I was trying to give time for April and May for visits and a presentation in June. But if you wanted, are you guys going to continue 2 meetings a month?
Well, I guess after we reorganize on the 11th,
Okay.
we can.
If you did 2 meetings a month, I would say we'd want to present in the first meeting in June. So you
I
guys-
still think we should probably be thinking about 2 meetings, guys, a month, just because
I do too.
you're gonna need to be doing shortly your school choice, your school.
Yeah, I've got an updated minutes.
Okay, and then, and I think, and we've got a few things to do, and we're gonna, be starting a new school starting July 1st. Dwight's still gonna work on his, we gotta work on that budget stuff, how we're, how many budgets we want, capital budgets, and
Yes.
so I think there's enough stuff, maybe in the summer we can cut back to 1, but I think
Yeah, I mean,
at least
I
through.
imagine, let's say you guys went on a field trip in April, or let's say 2 of you were able to participate in a conference call in March, I would love the next meeting in March for the board to report back. And then same thing happened in April. If a couple of you could go on a field trip, you could report back to the board. Maybe 2 other people could go. I mean, we just need
Okay.
to make sure that we warn it if we have 3 or more of you going.
Okay.
But that's kind of where the Wardsboro, the goal would be in June for you guys to have a robust discussion and hopefully solidify the direction.
Robust.
Robust,
We're
yes.
not allowed to use that word anymore. We have a new word, it's stout.
Stout.
Stout. Our timbers are stout, so we don't fear the wind.
One question, you guys. Is the research going to include the cost and the resources necessary? You know, I'm assuming that the organizations will give you a framework of what's needed
Yes.
for, to get started and what's needed and all that kind of stuff.
We want to take if we go down that path, I want to take what is suggested from the group and then see what is actually
Right.
put into
That came
action.
up in a meeting. In addition to,
But yes, we would lay that all out for you.
Right, okay.
We'd lay out a timeline of implementation, the costs associated, the professional development that would happen.
Great.
And then we'd probably do quarterly updates. Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely.
Great.
Any questions for Bill, or are we gonna let Bill off the hook on this one?
Yeah,
up
are
for
you
field
just
trip.
gonna give us kind of proposed dates? Proposed
So,
dates for field trips and,
I told Tammy was really excited, but I told her to just wait until after town meeting. I just know how busy she is, I know how busy you all are. But our goal is to come up with contacting these 2 specific schools that we found that I think will give us good context. And then we'll bring back to the board. Usually, when we did this with the International Baccalaureate, they would say, this week's horrible, we're never come on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the best, and they'd give us, 9 dates.
So.
And then we would
Bill,
bring it
what
back.
you're gonna do is he's gonna bring it to the board, and the board will decide who goes.
right.
Exactly.
So, and I'm sure he's not gonna bring it to us the day before the trip.
No, we'll give you tons of time. That's why I want
So-
April and May.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, kind of moving forward, I want to go under new business. So, we have a week from tomorrow is town meeting. Is that quick here?
Here we go.
So this is going to be new worlds for us, folks. So one of the things is we have to, within 10 days before the vote on the budget, present the budget in a meeting, in a warned meeting. So here's our warned meeting, and we have the budget, the entire budget. So I, for some reasons, totally spaced some things, but I guess it wasn't just me, it happened everywhere, because we didn't put the actual budget in any of the town reports. So this is a chance for people to get the complete budget. So seeing that everybody here has seen the budget in its entirety several times, does anybody want to go through the budget line item by line item, or is, yes, Andrew?
Richie, is that the budget that you had at the annual school meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is so there's a cover sheet that just shows you kind of that, the one that we published, the one sheeter, but then on the second page is every line item right on through.
And that was at the meeting on the 12th?
We had that available on the 12th.
Okay.
We have it available tonight, and I thought we would make it available at town meeting day.
Yeah.
Let people know that it's there,
Yeah.
if they want to look at it before the meeting.
So today's informational meeting serves for not only the budget question, but all the ballot questions?
Right, and I was going to hit them next.
Excellent.
So, but again, because we didn't have a big turnout, and I don't know if it's
Right.
because of the weather, I don't know if people are all set. Really, I'm asking, do we want to go through this, or are we all kind of good with it? Laura's shaking her head. What do you want to do?
Good.
You good? Yes.
I was just gonna suggest, since you have such large viewership on TV, you may wanna go through it so that they watch it.
Well, we've
Yeah.
gone through it on
We have
TV
done.
before, when it was presented to us, when we voted on it, when we approved it, when we had discussions about it. I mean, we've kind of beat it up ad nauseum. I thought, I don't know, and that's why I'm asking.
Is it
But-
available on the website?
Yes, the budget in its entirety is available on the website. It's not easily, somebody can't just open up their town report, which Andrew, you did a great job on the town report this year.
Thanks.
I really like the picture of the person in the fire truck.
I wonder who that is.
I don't know, but he's a sharp-looking guy. Put on a lot of weight. I don't know. It's not the same person I remember. But anyways, it isn't in the town. It's not as easy as picking up the town report. You have to go get it. You have to go to the website. Or, and what I didn't know, Andy, can we give you a few of these to leave at the
Absolutely.
town clerk's office?
Yep, I'll stick them right in the town.
And then we'll
reports
bring them to
meeting.
town meeting.
Yep.
And then I'll give you some, you can drop some off in Wardsboro. We'll split them between the two of you then. So they are here. It is, it's a budget that we reviewed and approved back in November, beginning of December. It does have a slight increase because we basically just took the budgets of the two schools because we're not exactly sure where things are going to play out. We think the tax rate's going to be up a couple, 2 or 3 cents. That's because we didn't factor in for the buy down from the governor last year, so we had an artificially low tax rate for this current year that we're in. So we're kind of going for more of the straight line and not trying to keep it down low where it was artificially low, because that would exhaust a lot of our reserve funds and a lot more than I think we were all really comfortable doing. I think it's a fair budget. There hopefully will be some savings. We reviewed the Dover budget not that long ago. We didn't do it as a board, but Matt, you know how much, are we almost done with tuition payments?
And I don't have the number off the top of my head, but Lori and I talked about it today.
Because we're definitely not high. I mean, if we've paid some secondary schools, we're just a little over 58 or 62%, I think. So, and I know we've paid some secondary tuition, the second half of the tuition. So it looks like there may be some savings, like Dwight was talking about. So our budget may not be as high as we thought it was going to be. And that's one of the hard things as a tuitioning school that we always have is, the tuitions are all over the place. You budget high and you wind up not spending as much. You try to budget lower because you think that, well, last year it was lower, and then it blows you out of the water on the high side. So the good thing is that any money that's left over, we don't have to spend. Any monies that the school has in its possession on July 1st, June 30th becomes the River Valley's money. So it's not like it gets wasted. So even if we budget it and don't spend it, it's not a bad thing. So I think we may be in better shape than we think. I don't know how Wardsboro is doing. Do you know?
They're doing just fine.
So they're within line in budget too.
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't appear that either school is overspending or had any really unanticipated expenditures that are going to move us higher. So those items. So I think with the budget, even though we may have been able to shave a few dollars here and there, I don't think we could have shaved enough to not have to transfer some funds, because both schools did last year. And I don't think we can shave enough to get to that governor's artificially low budget from last year. So hopefully people understand and have faith in us, and we'll move forward, and next year we'll have a better feel for things and we'll be able to fine tune the budget. Everybody good with that?
That's good.
Okay, so there's Dwight's, here's yours, Andy,
Okay.
before you leave. Okay, so the other two questions that are on here, so everybody knows that you're gonna vote by ballot, and the ballot question is a yes or no. So we're hoping that people vote yes. The board feels this is a fair budget. The board approved this budget unanimously. So I think the board's stand is that please vote for this budget. It's a new way of voting for both towns. We've never voted a budget like this before, and please help us. But there is a question that if you want to go back to the old way, Andy, as our clerk, did a lot of research for us, and we have a ballot question to move forward so that we can vote from the floor at the annual meeting. So Andrew, you want to talk about it a little bit? Because I know you've done a lot of research, and I think if people have questions, I know we didn't get to talk a lot about it at the annual meeting because it kind of got moved over, but.
Sure. This is the same issue and the the same information that we've been talking about right along with the budget vote. And I will give you some handouts I made up, suggested by Dr. Backus. It's the same old handout that I gave you months ago with another side, a back side, which shows the actual Article 13 from your Articles of Agreement with the language that the questions ask you to strike out. This good tape won't make me feel good.
Hey, Andy came out in a windstorm. The least you can do is humor the boy.
Like, no, dude.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, that's cool. You know, I wouldn't want one either. So basically, this question, if you vote yes, we don't vote our budgets by Australian ballot next year. We vote them from the floor at the annual River Valleys District meeting. And there's a lot of good reasons why we should do that. I'm in favor of it. Budgets voted from the floor are budgets that you can amend. They're budgets that you can hear an explanation of before you vote. They tend to be budgets that people walk out of the meeting and feel good about, even if the compromise didn't give them everything they wanted. If there had to be a compromise or an amendment, budgets voted by Australian ballot, you can tend to have folks not show up to your meeting and simply sit home, be angry about their taxes, walk into the ballot booth and vote no. That's how budgets get voted down. It's not the way we've done things in Dover or Wardsboro, and I think it's a good idea. The other question is simply giving Wardsboro an opportunity.
Well, let's stay on this one.
Okay, go right ahead.
So, everybody understand, now there are some drawbacks too, and some people feel that, you know, they have to take time off to go to a meeting, or they have to attend a meeting, and if it's nasty weather, and there is no voting by absentee ballot, or no early voting. So those are some drawbacks. Andrew did address those. I thought your pro and con sheet was very well balanced. It was definitely not saying vote one way or another. I think he gave a lot of facts. But it is, I think, something that we all agreed to as a board too, because we all have voted that way for years. This is totally alien to all of us. And I think we also discussed it at last year's meeting in Dover, the annual meeting. We discussed it at the Dover School District meeting. I know Wardsboro discussed it at your school district meeting. And I think it was overwhelmingly everybody wanted to move forward with this. And we did feel that it was something the board could just do, but it was better if we got a ballot vote on it, because then that makes it ironclad that there's no question that it was the right thing to do. So we hope that people vote in the affirmative. So voting yes gives us a right to have them vote done by voice vote at the annual meeting, which is the second Tuesday in February.
That's right. And Richie, the pro and con sheet that you were referring to is on the back side of the handout.
Yes.
Where I included Dr. Backus's suggestions, and I am for it, and I didn't mention many of the cons there with my little spiel, but that pro and con side of the handout includes all the information, unbiased as far as I can tell.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
You know, and the one cool thing about going to like town meeting is, you know, our town meetings are really the last real true democratic process in this country, because we really aren't a democratic country. You know, we're a representative democratic country, and even Brattleboro doesn't have true democratic politics in Brattleboro because it's representative. You vote a representative who represents you. And, Laura will tell you, as a representative from several different towns, there is no consensus. You've got people from one end of a question all the way to the other, and it's hard. And this gives everybody the ability to come in and, discuss it, hear everything. And if it's important to you, then, you make the time to come and participate. And I'm really scared because I think you're gonna see town meeting go downhill more and more. And, it's unfortunate, it's the one true democratic process that we still have. And a lot of states don't have it. And Dr. Backus made a really nice presentation. I don't know if you saw it, Laura, in the beginning. There's a lot of countries where you don't get to do this. And we're very fortunate, at least in this country, we get the ability to even cast a vote and have it really mean something, because it's not somebody standing outside your polling booth telling you how you're going to vote or looking over your shoulder to make sure you vote the right way. So, Andrew, good job. We appreciate that. Is everybody good with Article 9, which is voting from the floor? Okay, the other question was then Article 10, which was specific to Wardsboro, because Dover's always voted our board members by ballot, which is interesting, and Wardsboro always voted from the floor. So do you want to speak to that, Andrew?
So Article 10, if you vote yes, would allow Wardsboro to vote their officers from the floor, whereas currently they have to vote them by Australian ballot. That's all that's about. I think, just for your information, that if you voted yes, I believe that Wardsboro could either vote their officers from the floor at their town meeting or at the annual school district meeting. You can cross that bridge at a later date, but I believe that you could make that choice.
So that would be something that you would have to identify those voters from Wardsboro?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, say, hey, all the people from Wardsboro voting on this, and none of the people from Dover are, and Jackie would get out her checklist. It's probably a paper ballot, right? And you come up and
Unless there was
we
only one
wouldn't
person.
participate as Dover voters, but I believe that's the case. If that's appealing to you, after town meeting,
If the
look
vote's in the
into it,
affirmative,
but-
we'll research it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought that came up at the last meeting, and I wasn't positive about it, so I wanted to look into it, and I'm pretty darn sure you'd have your choice.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions on that Article 10 about the voting? And then,
Yes.
oh,
A voting yes allows Wardsboro to vote from the floor for officers, and Wardsboro could then vote at town meeting or the annual school meeting.
Yes.
And by which method, either one?
No.
To be
If you
determined.
vote yes, you're voting for your officer in Wardsboro from the floor.
Okay.
I believe they would have their choice of voting from the floor at their annual town meeting or the annual River Valley School District meeting.
Okay.
I'm not positive of that,
But from the floor.
but I'm pretty darn sure.
so we'll research, if the vote's in the affirmative,
Right.
then we'll have a discussion
Right.
with you and Jackie,
Yes.
and we have plenty of time to figure that out.
Right.
Okay. Everybody good with that? We beat that one up pretty well? Yeah, that does make a little change, because that was one of your concerns.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good.
Okay, so then Article 11 is, the budget vote. Andy, why don't you talk a little bit about how that's gonna work, just so everybody understands? So if, you vote yes or no, those are your options. There is no medium, so if you think the budget's too low, you have to vote no. If you think the budget's too high, you vote no. But everybody's gonna vote separately in their own towns,
Right.
and then there will be a process.
So We have ballots. We have 2 school ballots, a Dover ballot and a Wardsboro ballot. They're the same for the 3 public question articles, and they differ in the article where you elect your district officer. So that your Dover ballot, you'll vote, whether you want to pass the budget, whether you want to vote your budget next year from the floor, and whether or not Wardsboro will vote their officers from the floor or not. And then you'll vote in Dover for your school district officer from Dover, and in Wardsboro, on the bottom of that ballot, will be your school district officer race for the officer from Wardsboro. Wardsboro, at least 2 members of their BCA will then cart the ballots from Wardsboro to Dover. In Dover, we will have our vote tabulators set up, and people will be depositing their ballots in the vote tabulator on town meeting day as they vote. When the folks from Wardsboro show up, after we're done probably counting our local town meeting ballot, we will then take the Wardsboro school district Wardsboro ballots for the River Valley School District, run them through the tabulator, and the tabulator will spit out results, combining the votes on the 3 public questions and splitting out the votes for the officers for each town.
And then you'll need some help with some people to,
Yeah, we need people. We need the Board of Civil Authority from Dover and the Board of Civil Authority from Wardsboro, being a combined River Valley's Unified Board of Civil Authority. And, in Dover, it's been our practice to swear in assistant election officials from the populace, any voter who wants to do that. And we get together and we need to go over every ballot and look for instances of voter intent that the machine might not have picked up, or write-ins for the offices. Write-ins who aren't dead or fictitious people. Same as we've done in Dover. It'll be a little new. No, they're familiar with it in Wardsboro during their statewide elections, so yeah, it shouldn't be too bad, but we'll have a lot more votes, a lot more ballots than we used to. It'll be interesting.
and so you
Hopefully
think
we
that will
never have to do it again.
probably start about 8 o'clock?
Polls close at 7, probably about 8 o'clock, I would guess.
Well, there have been elections when he's been there till 5 or 6 in the morning, so.
No, I was laughing at Matt.
Oh.
Sorry. Matt was doing his Atlas
Oh.
imitation.
Okay, so is there any questions on how the vote's gonna work, the counting? And it's, the reason they're coming to Dover is because our district clerk is also the Dover clerk, and he's set up there. Plus, he's using the tabulator, which will help speed things up quite a bit.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Andy.
thoughts, or? Andy, we do appreciate you taking this on the first time. We know it's a lot of extra work at a very busy time of year, and we really do appreciate it.
No sweat.
So,
A quick
Go.
question. So, I haven't seen the warning for Wardsboro. I'm probably sure.
Right here.
These are all, will these be done at the day of, or the night before we do our,
Who won't be done by?
the articles 9 through 12?
Yeah.
they're valid.
I'm not back, but I'm talking about the articles as well,
So
not the
the,
ballot.
That's what they are.
your
They're on
town
the
meeting
ballot.
warning won't include those.
Okay, I just
The
want to make sure.
warning
Oh, I see.
for
I got
the
you.
meeting on the 12th of
All right,
February.
I was freaking out a little bit there. Good.
No, you'll have a
all
ballot like
ballot,
this. It has
yep.
9, 10, 11,
So these
12.
won't, right, I'm just wondering, and we're not going to be discussing them. They're just
Well,
gonna be
we have a
ballot.
question about that.
Okay.
So in Dover, I was gonna just go there.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night's traditionally the Tuesday before town meeting in Dover, since Moby Dick was a minnow, has been what they call pre-town meeting. And we usually, it gives everybody a chance to ask questions, and it gives the boards a chance, or people to get answers to questions that you may not normally have, or things that you may not have thought of. So what we're gonna do is, we have set up in the Dover warning, under other business to talk about the school as other business.
Okay.
There's up and down about whether or not you can discuss stuff that you're voting on by ballot. They told us with Act 46 that even though it was a ballot vote, we could still have a discussion at the meeting, but we can't discuss if there's an election, like Laura and I are running against each other, we can't each campaign and say, I'm better than Laura because I wear a hat, and Laura's better than me because she's got hair. It has to be
It's pretty clear there.
be informational, yeah, that you're better than me. So, but, and then we're not, so that's gonna be up to the individual towns, and that'll be up to the moderator, the town clerk, and the populace, because it's actually the voters decide what they wanna do. So, you got a comment on that? I know that you went to that thing, and I haven't talked to you since, to the class.
So, I've thought a lot about this. So, and I hate the fact that we have to run this meeting this way. So, the problem with talking about these ballot questions at our individual town meetings or individual pre-town meetings is that they are not part of town meeting. They're not part of town meeting. So, if Dover discusses them in Dover, and the folks in Wardsboro discuss them in Wardsboro, the voters in Dover won't be privy to the discussions in Wardsboro. The voters in Wardsboro won't be privy to the discussions in Dover. Technically, you know, by Robert's rules as well, you probably shouldn't discuss them because they're not part of town meeting, actually. I would say that's not too terribly big of a deal. Except I'm leaning towards we should not speak about the budget vote. The worst case scenario, I tried to think of the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Somebody takes you to court and says, geez, you know, if only the people in Dover had heard that, you know, then they would have voted otherwise. And, you know, so I'm gonna take you to court and say that your budget vote was illegitimate. And the court says, yeah, budget vote was illegitimate. Now you don't have a budget. Chances of that happening are probably like virtually zero. But because the consequences could be really messed up, I would suggest that neither town speak about the budget vote at their town meeting or their pre-town meeting. Now, if the people vote under other business to talk about it, that's their business. They get to do that, you know, and let somebody take them to court, you know. And part of me feels that, you know, that's fine. That's just fine. You know, if that's what the people feel they need and they want to do it, let them do it. I just need to bring that to your attention because I need to bring that to your attention.
Because you're looking out for us.
Right.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, is everybody good?
So then the expectation is that at Wardsboro's town meeting, our town meeting, we're not gonna be talking about.
Unless
From the
the
board.
majority of the voters say, hey, we really want to talk about this. and
Under
then-
other business.
Yeah, under other business, and it's non-binding.
And it's non-binding. Okay.
I think
and
that's,
they get to do that. Even if it's a mistake, they get to do that. They have the power to do that.
Because it's their town.
Right, exactly.
you know, it's interesting because the class they do for moderators is the title of it is, what is it, Ruling the Unruly?
Yeah.
But one of the things this guy really stresses is that it's the voters, it's the participants' meeting. So they get to make the rules, you know, within reason. You know, you can't make a rule that says, you know, only people with, you know, who have no hair can vote, or only people that own property can vote. And you know, you can't discriminate. I mean, I remember one year we had a guy step up and said he shouldn't be allowed to talk. He owes delinquent taxes, you know. and he got shot down really quick. So there's certain things, there are certain guidelines or certain rules, but pretty much it's what the voters want to do. So moderators aren't there to control the meeting the way they want the meeting to run. They're there to do the will of the participants and to help them accomplish what they do. A lot of times in the old days, people would have a question, would try to make a motion and they didn't get it quite right, and they would just say, well, you can't do that. Instead of saying, well, what you could do is, that's not the proper way to do it. This is the proper way to do it. So, and that's what we want to, I think moderators should move more towards, I hope. So Andrew, anything else you can think of?
No?
Is everybody okay? Anything from the board?
Another question, just are you anticipating the select board will give their presentation, their articles, and then normally you would hear the school board, well, we've done that, we've had our annual meeting.
Right.
Are you anticipating any of the, 3 members from the River Valleys for Dover sitting at a table, 3 members from Wardsboro sitting at a table, and then explaining, we had our River Valleys annual meeting on February 12th, where we discussed our articles?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the select board
I'm just
tomorrow night
curious.
and see. So the reason it used to be back in the olden days is the select board would come up and they would start the meeting and they would do their things, and then they would go away, and then the school board would come up and do their thing and then go away. When Act 60 came out, the school board at that time and the select board at that time thought to show unity, because we were working very tightly together, on both, lawsuits and fighting Act 60, that it would show unity if both groups were together up front. And then we started splitting on and off, it would be like, it was the school's turn to go first, then it was the town's, and this is specific to Dover. So I'm gonna just see, since it is really, there is still a Dover school, and we do have other business for Dover school, so if somebody wants to know why isn't there a Dover budget, I think the Dover school board member should answer that. I think if they ask, what about the River Valleys, I think we need to think about what Andy said, and we need to make a determination as to what we're gonna do. Luckily for us, it's a little easier because 3 of our school board members are also the River Valley members. So as long as the school board's there, there'll be representation for River Valleys also.
So you're anticipating that, although this unique year, that you're still going to have the Wardsboro, their school board members?
They'll do whatever they want to in Wardsboro. That's
Dover have their school board members
Yeah.
to just talk about?
well. It's. I'm going to talk to selectmen and see what they want.
I was
to do.
curious
Did
about
you have a
that.
thought on that too?
A lot of it would have to do with the moderator, okay? Your moderator I want to talk about the River Valleys Union School District budget. The moderator can say, well, that's not germane to this meeting, so I'm going to rule that out of order and we can't discuss it, I'm sorry. Then I could say, I'm going to challenge that, and okay, well, now we're going to have a vote of the people here at town meeting. And the people will either overrule the moderator or they'll uphold the moderator. So it might be a good idea, if you have concerns, to speak to the school moderator, because it will come up under the school side, and get an idea of how she feels, and if she needs to do a little research on this, or if you want to help her do some
Well,
research.
what we're doing is I'm trying to get Sarah and myself and Andy together before town meeting to just discuss that.
Because it's just interesting. I can imagine people are going to say, hey, where are those school board members? Or how come they're not talking?
Right, and that's why I want to have that conversation with the select board tomorrow night, and then Sarah and Andy, just to see how we go about that. The other thing is, I'm gonna write a letter for the Dover School.
Right.
Oh, I can't now, because it's Monday.
Do one from the River Valleys or not?
No, I was gonna do it for Dover. River Valleys is all done.
Yep.
So, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. Everybody good? Anybody else? Andy, thank you. As always, we really appreciate all your help and your guidance and your level-headedness. New business. So we talked about the budget vote. Bill, Laura wanted you.
So I just wanted to ask a question around the proficiency standards for graduation in light of the AOE, saying that they're not viewing those deadlines as hard and fast. And, you know, there's a lot of deadlines that are conflicted right now. So I'm wondering if you can tell me where Wyndham Central is with regard to those. And
So I gotta say that that's really not a River Valley's issue, because we don't graduate any kids. We don't do secondary.
okay,
So is that something you can do right afterwards?
good.
Does it relate to
Yeah.
the elementary school?
I think the overall sense, my bigger question is just where we're at in terms of complying with timelines and timeframes as compared to others, Southern Vermont
But that's,
supervisory unions.
that's how Wyndham Central is, not how River Valley's is.
Mhm. Yes,
Okay.
typically I would ask that question here. I don't want to spend a lot of time
Okay.
on that.
You got
so-
a 2-minute answer?
We are on the path to do what is right for the students and right for the system. And we will report when we're asked to report of where we are, but we're not going to go any faster than we'll deliver a quality product.
Okay.
So the statement from the Secretary of Education and the State Board of Education that graduation 2020 doesn't have a specific rubric or a hard and fast rule of what that means is along the same lines that they've been communicating to us for the last 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4,
Years.
okay.
This is the target date, but do it well. I think there was a phrase in
Yeah.
the article from the Digger that there is no proficiency-based police. They're there to support, they're there to help.
And then my second
Well,
question.
let's stick on this one. So I think this is very appropriate for Wyndham Central. So can you make sure that it goes during the reorganizational meeting, that it can at least get brought up? So, and I think that's the appropriate place for it to be handled.
Okay.
What?
I would typically ask supervisory union questions here, I think, or at least alert them here. I have one other question on
Okay.
this,
What?
but I can wait.
No, that's fine. I wanted to just I thought it was on a different subject.
Yep.
If it's on the same subject,
It's on
no.
the same subject.
Go ahead and ask
And
it.
it is really an awareness question. Are you aware of where, so there's 4 supervisory unions in Wyndham County, and I'm aware that one of the supervisory unions jumped into the deep end of the pool. It sounds like we are approaching 2020-ish. So we've been working on it in Wyndham Central. Yeah.
Okay.
And so there are 2 other supervisory unions, and are you aware of where they are on the continuum? So we have one we know that jumped in. We are kind of working our way through. Do we know if the other SUs have engaged or are engaging in that?
I know that all 4 supervisory unions in Wyndham County are working towards having proficiency-based grade requirements by the 2020 target date.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for indulging, Rich. It's important to me to understand if we are meeting requirements and others are not. I just want to make sure I have that perspective.
But I think it's also good for everybody else, so that's why I think it's a good Wyndham
Perfect.
Central
Yeah, absolutely.
thing. And then, Bill, you can just, because I didn't know it was going on for 3 or 4 years. I thought it was a newer thing, but
Now, 14 educational quality standards.
Yeah,
cool.
thank you.
Carrie, you got anything else?
Okay, this is good.
Good. Anybody in the audience? Okay, I just have one executive session item for contractual, yeah?
One update.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
School
sorry.
choice.
Yes.
Just because this is the last meeting before, your policy requires us to publish the guidelines
Right.
on March 1st. So I'm just letting you know that we will be publishing the guidelines on all the websites. 2 dominant ones that parents will go to are the school websites. We will provide applications at each of the schools. It's going to happen during the month of March. I will be working with Anita to get the word out, but the predominant one that we found out from West River is directly from the school, in the school newsletter, letting them know that it is available. Your policy has a stipulation that requests will be denied if the request would have a negative impact on class size and staffing at the sending school. And you guys may or may not remember this, but when you guys first developed this policy, I talked about using the model of the high school school choice policy as our guidelines. You guys tasked me with coming up with guidelines. So part of March 1st is we have to publish how many slots are available. So I'm just letting the board know I'm following the school choice policy guidelines that they do for high school, and we're doing a 20% max out. So for example, if Wardsboro has 50 students and Dover has 100 students, the maximum amount of students that could leave Dover are 20. The maximum amount of students that could leave Wardsboro are 10. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay? And that's because we can continue with our same staffing in year one of rolling this out to keep the steadiness of what we currently have while respecting the opportunity for school choice.
So will we meet prior to that process? We'll meet prior to that process being completed.
We'll be
Oh, yeah,
collecting
we
them
will
during the
before.
month of March.
So I would love it if we could just get a brief, how's that going, update
Yeah.
at our next meeting.
So the one thing I was gonna ask for is that we kinda, I think maybe where you're going to is, we reviewed guidelines with the policy, but we came to the conclusion, that rightfully so, that policy is the board's domain, guidelines and operating procedures is the administration's domain. So we kind of pushed that aside. We agreed in the idea of the 20%, or, you know, we said, however, and you had discussed that, and we thought that was good, but we don't bless that, that's part of your domain.
And this is just year one.
Right, and we know,
The reason it's a guideline is
Right.
because
and we know that
That's
we're gonna have a lot of discussion about it next year, because we did a one-year policy. But I think before you release it, or when you go to release it, if the board members can get a copy of your
Yes,
guidelines, I think it would be really good,
helpful,
because
yeah.
that way at least we know they're out, and then if somebody calls us up and says, what in the world is this about, then, you know,
yes. You guys all received copies, but I'll give you.
oh, well, you didn't change it at all? It's still what we
Well,
discussed
but
back in the fall?
But the timing is helpful for us to know, like, this
All
went
right,
out
I'll-
today.
I'll send it all to you. I want everybody to be unbelievably informed.
And I think the administrators in the buildings need to know that, because they're gonna get asked, and the assistants in the building.
I
and
have
yeah.
template parent letters, I have, luckily I got to go through all this with another district, so.
Yeah.
The different caveat was the bullet
Yeah,
point
just-
you guys had.
Obviously, it's a net gain, you know, if it's not just losing, obviously.
Absolutely, I'm just looking at it.
Right, right. But, and then, is it the policy based on classroom as well, or just in general size?
So,
Well, the policy
so
is,
the
we
guideline,
set
the
the
policy
The policy, yeah, what was,
allows
right.
requests may be denied if the request would have a negative impact on class size or staffing at the sending
Okay, so
school.
class size, but what you said was a loss of 20% for the entire school. Obviously, class size is in that
Sure.
policy.
So,
well, it
Correct.
could be the other way too. It could be that
Or an
if
impact
we
if
had
you had-
20 students from
Right.
fifth grade that wanted to go to Wardsboro, he's
Right.
gonna have to deny some of them, even though
That's right.
it fits in that 20 students, but
Yeah.
it's gonna overload that classroom in the other building.
That's all I'm asking, please
Right.
mention that.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to play through that.
Good luck.
And we don't know how it's gonna work at all. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you got some surprises from the West River one.
Yeah, what we found from that experience, is a lot more people were excited to say they wanted school choice until they had to sign on the dotted
And
line
then they
that they are going to
Yeah.
do school
So
choice.
that would be the same with us.
It was about a 40% rate. And these are people that had completed a survey, I will take advantage of school choice.
Yeah.
4 out of 10 actually filled out the application and did it.
Huh.
Okay.
Everybody good?
Yep.
I just have another question.
Yep.
Bill, it sounded like you said that you had already parent letters. Are you anticipating sending out a letter to all the Wardsboro students, all the Dover students to say, you have this opportunity?
We
Or
won't
is
be
it
sending
gonna
it to
be-
the students, but we will be communicating to parents that it is open.
Right, I kind of meant, sending it to the parents through students, like a hand.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that is the easiest
Right.
pathway
Right.
is through the school.
That's what I meant.
Yes,
Kids,
absolutely.
Bobby, bring this home to your
Yes.
parents, and the
That is-
parents
that
are
is the
reading.
simplest way to do
Okay.
that. Anything
And then let the
that's
parents know to
posted,
check
people
your
will
kids' backpacks.
They
Okay.
do, I will commend the teachers in both the River Valley schools, that those kids are trained, they open up their backpack and they hand it to their parents.
Well, let's
My
see,
kid never
do they
got
do that?
Especially when
I know
the
yours
parent
did that.
says,
A couple times.
where's the paperwork, I need to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you gotta train Dwight's kid a little bit
Yeah,
better.
all right. What's the timeline again?
Hey,
When-
no
I'm
name.
sorry.
March.
Through March.
March,
then-
March 1st,
when will
all
parents
the
have-
guidelines have to be published.
Then the parents, when will the
And
parents?
we
have
will notify everybody on the same dates this Friday.
Oh, okay.
And then the entire month of March.
Great.
Month of March is not just for basketball anymore, not just for
Plenty of
college
madness.
basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you have?
That, I'm good.
Okay, so I just have a 5-minute contractual update. If somebody so move it, please. In a second, please.
You want to go into the other room?
Laura, yes, and Barry seconded it.